Hello, Paul. How's everything?
It's fantastic. Hello, John.
Hello me. This is, guys, Paul Shustak. He's like an amazing entrepreneur here in Santa Monica. We met 3 years ago, 2 years and a half.
Sounds about right.
Oh, yeah. So what brought you here? Not in this amazing show, but what brought you here in Santa Monica?
Well, I was working in Silicon Valley and not really loving my job. And I had started a company on the side, which, and my partner in that company, he was based in LA. But most importantly, I was dating a woman who was based in LA. And we had a long distance relationship. So I'm working at this company in Silicon Valley. I have this thing on the side with a guy in Los Angeles. I have a thing with this woman who is now my wife. So basically, that situation lasted a few years. The long distance relationship got old. I wanted to be with her. I could have asked her to move up to Silicon Valley, but LA seemed like the right place to be. We can talk about that if you want.
Of course. So which company you were before? It was the small one, Microsoft, the small one, right? It was a small company, yeah.
This was when I was working at Adobe, slightly smaller company.
Smaller company.
In San Jose.
Yeah, they're still around, right?
I hear they make some graphics tools, creative tools. Yeah.
Nice. And what you were doing there, you were a product manager or designer, artist, something like that, right?
I was basically the product manager for this whole, or one of the product managers for this whole push they were doing to go from selling physical CDs or DVDs to cloud-based products. So we had all sorts of questions about how to handle the DRM, that's digital rights management.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, how to handle pricing and recurring payments and security and fraud. In fact, okay, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I remember everybody at the company, this was like 2006, was using this term SaaS, software as a service. And I had been doing software as a service for like 10 years by then. And I was like, why are you people talking about SaaS all the time? I mean, software is a service. Like, let's just decide that it is. We're selling software. It's going to be cloud-based. We don't need to call it SaaS.
Yeah.
But that was an example of how I think your framing of the world affects your language.
Oh, yeah. So you moved here in Los Angeles, and what's next? What happened?
What happened? So moved here to marry the girl. That worked out great. Hi, Joanna.
Hi, Joanna. Hi, Joanna.
Started the company for real. It's called KOR Water. It's still operating. We sold it a couple of years ago.
Okay. This is an amazing story. Amazing story. So when I met Paul and I met him as a tech entrepreneur, he told me he got bored about doing tech all the time, and I want to switch, to something that is physical, something that you want to, grab with your hand and use it. And you told me about, and you also gave me one bottle, right?
Yes.
I think a couple of bottles, something like that. So I started drinking with the bottle, and the texture, I think we discussed this before, like the texture of the bottle is strange. I'll tell you in a bit. So I tried it, and this has the texture of a nipple. And I'm like, how is this possible? How does this work? So I gave it to a couple of my friends, and everybody said, yeah, this taste is like a nipple. Except one of my friends that said that it tastes like a penis. So it's super strange. And when I asked you, you told me that this was on purpose. I don't know the percentage, how much percentage should be nipples, what percentage should be penis. But you told me there was a data-driven decision to have this specific texture, right?
I have to deny everything that you're saying, John. We can talk after the show.
Of course.
No, in all seriousness, yes, we had a designer who we gave direction to create organic shapes, and he used his imagination. And organic shapes was like kind of a code, and he went all out. And the way the decision was made, as you said, it was data-driven. The way the decision was made is we had, I think, 7 different nipple samples, which we put in the kitchen of the company for our employees and some friends to test. We gave them a survey to fill out. Which one do you like best? Which one do you like least? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And some of these were very radically nipple or penis shaped, very organic, shall we say?
It's not just the shape, it's the texture. That's the crazy thing.
The texture, yeah. Well, we specified a very soft grade of silicon. You know, we definitely wanted let's say, a sensual feel to it. Yeah, that was a given. But the shape evolved from the feedback we got from these user tests, and they chose some, I would say, organic shapes, and that's one of the things I'm proudest about with that product, that you actually noticed this. Most people don't. I think they have a sort of visceral, unconscious reaction
also
to the shape.
I have a dirty mind also, so it was pretty easy to figure out.
Certain people.
Put two and two together.
Yeah.
And the company was acquired, right?
Sold the company a couple of years ago, and it's still going. I'm still on the board. I'm no longer doing physical products. That was something, as you said, I wanted to get out of my system. It's completely out of my system. It's a lot harder for me, at least, going from software to physical than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I have all these issues around inventory and supply chain distribution that I wasn't ready for. I learned a lot, but I'm back in software.
And how did you get customers? Like because you guys just built a bottle. Like in my mind, it's just a bottle. Like everybody could make a bottle, order it from China and put it on Amazon, and what's next? So what made you different?
Yeah, so one of the reasons I quit my job was because we leaked some of the renderings of the product, and it sort of went viral. This was like 2008, before you had Kickstarter. Twitter was just getting started, but I think there were a lot of blogs covering design, and Facebook was happening. And so this rendering went viral, and we built a website. We took a lot of pre-orders. We got probably $500,000 in pre-orders before we released the product.
Before even Kickstarter?
We didn't do a Kickstarter.
I mean, before the Kickstarter hype.
Without the benefit of Kickstarter. One of the reasons we were able to do this is we hired a very fancy, high-end, well-known design firm, and they helped publicize this rendering. We did a press release. So it was a very sexy product, very different looking. Insert B-roll here. That led to this initial sort of viral effect and a lot of pre-orders. And then we had the strategy of placing the product in very high-end retail locations where we knew they would be seen by celebrities and journalists, as, you know, in the context of it being a special product. Mm-hmm. And that worked. You know, we got a lot of paparazzi photos of people like David Duchovny carrying the bottle, and there's a great picture of David Beckham with Spice carrying the bottle, and we got some press early on from some like very trendy publications, and that led to bigger articles in Oprah and the New York Times. So we got really lucky, basically. I mean, we designed a product that was amazing, but all of this success was something we stumbled into, I think. And frankly, you know, we stumbled out of it. You know, we couldn't keep it going. We can talk about that someday too. Like, how do you keep that going? It's not easy.
Of course, yeah. And you told me the bottle was also featured in an Iron Man movie for a bit.
Yes, this was the peak moment before you know, we started a little bit of a decline. The peak moment was one day one of our MBA interns called us up and said, "Hey, Paul, what was that deal you guys did with Iron Man? I just got out of the Iron Man 2 movie. It was Iron Man 2." I was like, "John, what deal are you talking about? We don't have a deal with Iron Man." He goes, "The bottle is in the movie." So this was before streaming, 2011. It took us a couple weeks to actually go and see the movie. Basically, what we saw was Tony Stark, Iron Man, was using our bottle to drink this fluid. If anyone remembers Iron Man 2, he had to drink a special fluid in order to maintain his superpowers. He was drinking the fluid from the bottle. So it was featured, we counted, in about 28 seconds of the film. We never actually figured out how it got in there. We're pretty sure it was the production designer who said to the director, "Hey, I think this is a cool prop." He was like, sure. And so that was amazing. We could quantify that if you want. We know that Oracle and Audi paid millions of dollars for less screen time. So we got probably about $20 million of free screen time in Iron Man.
Pretty good.
So anybody out there, Google Iron Man water bottle. You'll find the scene that or the scenes that I'm referring to.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that was definitely the high point at that company. Yeah.
And after that, you're like, okay, I'm done with building products that every celebrity in Hollywood uses. I'm going to build something else. So what did you build after that?
Well, it wasn't exactly straight path. You know, we had to run the company at that point and release more products, which we did. And one of which was the nipple bottle, which did really well. But the next thing for me, the next company I started was focused on elder care, helping families navigate this maze or journey that you have when you have a parent or grandparent who's getting older and they may be disabled or coming into disability. So, and this was inspired by problems I was having with my mom and problems I was having navigating the healthcare system and the social services system. So I came up with the idea of a technology platform that would ask you a series of questions, give you an action plan using a smart algorithm, and the algorithm helped you and your family navigate this journey and collaborate on the journey. And that was 2016 started that.
And the company got acquired again, right?
It was acquired earlier this year, by another healthcare company that's trying to get into that space. They merged our platform with another platform. It's called Mahalo Life now. If anyone wants to look it up, mahalo.life.
And the interesting thing, and I think that's the most interesting thing, is that, and I keep saying that to entrepreneurs all the time, the companies that they have better chances in getting acquired or, I don't know, making money are the boring companies.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the B2B products that solve problems that are not, I want to take a picture and I want to transform myself using machine learning and add a background and share it with all of my friends and everything. These products usually go bust. When you build a product that provides value and it's little bit boring or difficult or whatever, there are not many kids want to enter that space. So you end up, bigger companies that want to consolidate or enter that your sector, acquiring you. So it's like there are not many people doing it. I have no idea why.
It's a great question. And you yourself started one of those companies. I wouldn't say it was boring, but it's not sexy consumer software. Bug Sense.
Of course, yeah.
Great with that. Yeah. And you got acquired by a company that needed that functionality, that customer base.
Yeah. And it saddens me when I go and meet entrepreneurs, like they tell me, like, I have a fantastic idea where I wake up in the morning and I take a picture of myself and I talk and I wake up somebody else by calling him. I'm like, it doesn't really solve a problem. Like, I don't want to see your face. Or, you know what? It might work, but it might work 1 in a million. So why are you building something? I don't know. It's a different space. I don't know. Yeah, it's very.
But do you think that, even whether you're doing one of those sexy consumer companies or something that's more enterprise, you still needs to be a personal problem you're solving? How important do you think that is?
So I don't think it's really important to have the problem, like to be a personal problem.
Yeah.
And also I don't think that you should be passionate about it, because passion dies. Sadly, passion dies after a bit, and then you end up doing the crappy work all the time to something that you're not passionate. So you need to find something and the reason why you're doing it. So if your reason is to make money, try to find exactly what are you trying to do. Are you trying to get acquired? Are you trying to build a lifestyle business? But you need to focus. So if you're going to fundraise, are you going to get money from angels, from VCs? How many people are you going to have? Many people just decide, I'm going to do a startup. They have an idea that looks amazing for a week, and then they end up with money, best case, money from investors, and spending 2 or 3 years like with no purpose. Like they're wasting their time, instead of building something valuable, wasting their time to build something that no one will use, or probably the product will die. But Yeah, what you can do. That's the interesting world of startups, the interesting world.
So you're a very active angel investor, very successful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm interested in your take on when you look at a deal, how important is the team and what are you looking for in the team?
So 100% is the team. I would say 1,000%, but I would say now 100%. It's super important because no one really knows exactly what they're building. You will do a lot of pivots and the team has to be there. The team has to be there so they can do the pivots super fast and not get depressed. I don't know, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the term emotional roller coaster.
Oh, I love it, man.
Of course.
I am in that.
Yeah, on my first startup, I was like, what is this? Why is this happening? Like, I clearly remember like it was going once a month. And for those that are not familiar, emotional roller coaster is when you start feeling great. You're on the peak, on the high of your performance. And then all of a sudden things go south and you feel terrible. Like everything sucks, like it's terrible. And this happens like all the time. Sometimes happens every month, every week, every day, every hour. So this is a common thing for startuppers. Like they keep having this up and down. And it's not really fun. And in San Francisco, there was a huge movement for depression, for startup depression and everything about it. So yeah, the team is the most important thing. They would figure out what they would do. Like maybe they need to raise money, maybe they need to be more aggressive in marketing, maybe they need to make changes. Sometimes I think that you should put money just on the team. Like the product comes second, even the business plan comes second. I'm 100% sure that when people invest, they invest only on the team because all the ideas that we've seen getting funding, 1,000%, some of us have already thought about it when he was in the bathroom. Like, I should make an app where I can connect with all my friends. Yes, but Zuckerberg did it. He was like the guy. Like, so yeah. What do you think though? Is it the team?
I think, yes. I think when I used to angel invest, it was at least half the team and 50% of the decision was around the team, right? I think the thing I never really got good at, maybe this is why I was never a successful angel investor, is how to tell a good team from a bad team or a mediocre team. What are your thoughts?
I think that's why everybody invests through the network, through their network. And that's why it's so difficult if you're outside of the network of the Silicon Valley or the Silicon Beach network to get funding. Because everybody feels comfortable when they know the other person. So, you give money to somebody that you know that you've seen many times. That's good for angels, terrible for entrepreneurs, because when you are new to the scene, you cannot find funding because you don't know anyone. And that happened with my previous company. When we arrived in San Francisco, we didn't have any network. And we were trying to raise money and it wasn't working. We were hitting a wall all the time. So we decided, okay, build a network, then go for funding. I think that's what most of the companies, most of the entrepreneurs do. Like they build the network and then they use the network to fundraise. The faster entrepreneurs realize that this is how fundraising is done, like the better for them.
Oh my God, yeah, that's huge. It took me a while to learn that too. You can't just go in and ask for money. You have to build a relationship.
Of course. Yeah, the times, now I'm playing it back in my mind. Like the times that we've went to like these huge VCs in Silicon Valley and we're like two guys from Greece asking for money. And I'm pretty sure the guys were thinking like, this is a great idea. They have traction, they make money, but I don't know, Greece, it's amazing for vacation, but a startup from Greece coming here and it's like, how does this work? Because they didn't know us. They thought that we're going to give them the money. They're going back to Greece. Are they in San Francisco? And I've seen how everything changed when we were there, going to the meetups, having some FaceTime. The interesting thing is that when I have new companies pitching to me, they are out of the network, like out at least of my network, and I've never heard about them. And sometimes the business makes sense, but the due diligence is so difficult because as an angel, we're not professional investors like VCs. I hope at least they are professional investors. Yeah. So you don't have the whole time in the world to do your due diligence. So you rely on your network.
Yeah.
And if you're outside, if you have a startup outside of the network coming in, it becomes more difficult. Yeah. I don't know. It's a problem. There should be a startup trying to fix that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's start it, or let's find it.
I think AngelList was trying to do something like that, where startups can create, a profile and pitch to these groups and everything. Yeah, maybe that's a solution. I haven't used it.
I have a whole set of questions about AngelList. I don't know if we want to get on that topic, but I'll just say this. I believe that was a noble intention. I believe they tried to solve it, and they have smart people working on it. I really don't see how it's useful to me in my current startup or my last couple. So AngelList guys, if you're listening, I'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help solve this together. It is a problem. So how long did it take you when you had this realization when you moved to San Francisco that you need to stop fundraising, build a network? How long did you wait for that process to take effect?
I think a couple of years.
You spent 2 years like bootstrapping, basically.
It takes time. Yeah, you cannot expect you meet somebody and he's just gonna give you money like that. And it's one of the reasons why people from Google, ex-Googlers, and Stanford graduates get funding faster. It's not because they graduated this fancy university or whatever. It's because Stanford has a huge network.
Yeah.
So they are seeing you all the time. They see you all the time. So they kind of know you. And what people need to understand is that angel investing is mostly a gut feeling. You're not putting down numbers and trying to figure out, is it right? Is it true? You just feel it like, hey, this team is going to kick ass. It's going to the sky. Usually the majority of time this doesn't happen, but it's a gut feeling. You cannot quantify it. You cannot really quantify it because, as you know, projections don't make any real sense, like especially in the startup, in the pre-seed round.
Yeah.
You make projections. In a year from now, we're going to generate like $5 billion or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny topic if you want to have a laugh about, I don't know, most annoying startup issues, like when an investor actually spends a lot of time asking you questions about your forecast.
Let's do it. Yeah. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite. Like, we should find a name for these angels, like time wasters, something like that. There should be a name, like investors that spend your time. They don't invest, or they never really wanted to invest, but they have all these questions that don't make sense. Like, how would I know what the company will do after 10 years? Like, I don't even have the expertise to do financial projections for the 10 years. No one, not even Google, can do the 10-year projection. Come on.
Do you think there's a high correlation between being a time waster and focusing obsessively on the financial forecast?
Yes. If you focus obsessively, yeah, there is a correlation, yeah.
So the rational thing to do as a founder is cut those conversations short. Now, what's a polite way of saying to that person, look, this is
not working.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is not working. I think one polite way is to say, like, you know what? We can answer any questions you want. Currently, the round is closing a month from now, 2 weeks from now, whatever. Like, do you want to invest in or not? We cannot do projections. We cannot provide projections, or we cannot give you what you want. Of course, you have to always balance it out, because if the majority of your investors ask you about like your financials or your projections, there might be a sign like something is wrong. But what you're saying is what I've seen from my experience. Like 95% of the investors, they just want to see some projections that kind of make sense. They want to understand how your model works. And there are like always a couple of people that, oh my God, they ask so many ridiculous things that make like zero sense. And usually because they don't know the market. Like, you don't know the market. I could educate you, but you cannot argue with me all the freaking time. This is the market. I've been doing this for like so many years. I know the competitors. I know how the market moves. I know the price points. You don't know them. So either research them and come back to me, or I don't have time to have this conversation. So yeah, wasters. That's the name. From now on, it's wasters.
The wasters.
Angel wasters.
Angel wasters. Yeah, you hear that, people? Yeah. I mean, I think we should make it clear to anybody who wants to invest in startups or help startups, like, time is our most precious commodity, right? And if you come to us, we're usually happy to talk to you, especially if you want to invest, and we're taking money. But it's important, all of you angels out there. And
I think
VCs.
this is your camera. This is your camera.
All you angels and VCs.
Your own camera, yeah.
My own camera. All of you angels and VCs, it's important that you respect our time. We want to talk to you. We want to share. We want your feedback. But you have to understand our goals and that we have limited time to reach those goals, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So hopefully we get that message out there. Maybe there's a hashtag.
Maybe we're gonna create like save startup time or something like that.
Save startup time.
Yeah.
Hashtag save startup time.
Yeah.
We'll start using that.
Of course. So what happened after the second company? So you sold the company and then you started another startup, I assume, right?
Yeah, I couldn't resist. So the problem with startups that I have, I don't know if you have this problem, is like while you are incubating a startup, you get other ideas or other opportunities come into view, and maybe you're working a little bit in parallel, or part of your brain is like working on the next one. Do you have that problem?
All the time.
Okay. So this new startup is called Beautify, and it started incubating maybe like 8 months before I sold my company, maybe a year, because I met a guy named Evan Meyer, who's Evan Meyer, my co-founder in Beautify. He was running a company called Ride Amigos, but he also had on the side a amazing nonprofit called Beautify Earth, which is a nonprofit right here in Santa Monica that is facilitating the creation of all sorts of beautiful street art and public art. And his nonprofit was all volunteer, and it was getting a lot of interest from brands who wanted to sponsor murals, and real estate developers and landlords, and small businesses that wanted murals for their property, and they couldn't keep up with demand. And I kept thinking, wow, there's a business here. They don't even have a technology platform. How big could this get if we just built a technology platform, had some sales and marketing? So Evan and I talked about this for a long time. When I finally sold my company, he was leaving his company. So we started in March this thing called Beautify. And it is a spin-off from the nonprofit. And our mission is we're the first online platform to enable the creation and monetization of street art. And we're 8 months old. We have a lot of success under our belt already, and it's hugely fun.
Nice. And so you took a product with revenue that had customers and everything. You added the technology layer on top of it, which it's amazing, obviously, but it's different from what the majority of startups are doing. Usually they fantasize how they can use technology to solve a problem. They build the technology and then they decide to go to market and find the customers and everything. Did you think that your approach make it easier to do fundraising, hire talent? Did you think your approach was better, worse, in what ways?
Best startup decision I ever made. I have a huge appetite for risk. Almost every company I started has been like hugely risky. You know, I do customer interviews and market research, but if you don't have a paying customer already, you're taking a huge risk, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So this has caused me to see startups in a new light, where you can actually take a product that is already in existence, has product market fit, as we like to say, and apply some funding and some technology or talent to accelerate it. So yeah, we're a startup, but we didn't start from scratch, and it made it really easy to just recruit talent and raise a little bit of money. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I want to do this again if I ever do another startup.
Of course. And what do you think about Los Angeles? Is it better in terms of funding, I see that you're smiling already, in terms of finding people that can help you with technology, that can help you scaling business, advisors, mentors? Is it better or worse than San Francisco?
Well, in terms of funding, we know the numbers. I think LA has, or San Francisco, Bay Area has 7x the amount of capital invested in startups. So we're 1/7 the size. The investors here tend to be less sophisticated about digital business models. unless we're talking about entertainment and media. Obviously, LA is a leader in those verticals, and we have a lot of sophisticated investors in those verticals. So if you're in those verticals, I think you're in a great place. If you're not, if you're doing a SaaS business, you're likely to have better luck up north in terms of the amount of money you can raise and the sophistication and networks of your investors. That's the reality here. But the upside, there are a lot of upsides too, right? There's a lot of great talent here that is less in demand. It's up north, Google and Apple, Facebook, they're snatching up all the great engineers and designers and product managers. You don't have that talent grab here. So there are benefits. And I think what's increasingly happening is people like Jon are moving down here from Silicon Valley and creating a whole new ecosystem of folks who are like Silicon Valley refugees. I'm sort of one myself. So I think there's a new sort of beginning here that we're gonna start to see in LA. We had a huge exit a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Honey, right?
Honey,
yeah.
Right? Maybe, sometimes it takes just one big exit for the whole ecosystem to get jump started.
But it was also the Dollar Shave Club that got acquired. There was another exit happened like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. So it was smaller. It was about 800 million. And it wasn't a purely digital company. It was a consumer products, right? And
you're right. Yeah.
But I think we can point to that exit as the beginning of a nice little bump in the effectiveness of the ecosystem. Do you think?
Yeah, actually you're right.
Yeah. So there'll be bigger bumps. Maybe it'll be one of ours.
Right. And what do you think about advisors? Like whenever I meet startups, they tell me, hey, you know what? We have these 5 people as advisors. And sometimes these advisors are like marquee names. Like, I don't know, we have Steve Jobs and we have, even though he died, we have, I don't know, Elon Musk and all these guys like as advisors. Yeah. And sometimes the advisors are real, but should we really care about a startup and their advisors? Like, why should I care about their advisors?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been sort of experimenting with advisors, since I started doing startups. What's the right approach? What's the right strategy? I think if you break it down, you can get 3 things from advisors. You can get introductions. You can get domain knowledge or advice. That's why they call them advisors, right, Jon? Or you can get marquee value. And I think having experimented with all 3 of those, I think what you should go for is being an advisor who's really strong in one of the 3. Domain expertise could be amazing if you're moving into a domain where you don't have a lot of knowledge. Typically, though, you're going to need introductions into that domain. So you probably want an advisor who combines the domain knowledge with introductions. The marquee value approach is really interesting. I don't think that's ever worked for me. I probably didn't have celebrity level advisors. So I think to really break through on the marquee value side, you got to have somebody who's like huge Instagram following or just major celebrity presence. And that could be amazing depending on what space you're in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but why that advisor is not an investor? Because that's what I always think. If an advisor believes in the startup, he should be an investor, right?
Yes, absolutely. So we try to get all of our advisors to put in, at least a minimal amount of skin in the game, and they're generally totally cool with that. I might make an exception for like some amazing celebrity, but
of course, yeah. If there are amazing, I'm sure there are amazing celebrities watching right now the show. The guys, of course, right? He's willing to just have you as advisor on his pitch deck.
Jim Carrey, we want to do a mural with you, and we will happily put you on our advisory board without an investment. But we want to do a mural with you. Hi, Jim.
Perfect. Yeah. So what's next? What's happening next? So let's say you sell this company in 2 years from now, randomly 2 years from now, because I think you sell your companies every 2 years. That's your cycle. Like every 2 years, I sell the company. What are you? So it's 2022. What are you doing in 2023?
I think I'm still on Beautify. I think This is a longer term play. We're changing the world. Change comes slowly. I don't see us selling in 2022, maybe 2027, 28. I haven't really thought about what I want to do next, except for some random ideas. I'm definitely going to stay in the entrepreneurial startup domain. I definitely want to help the ecosystem here.
Of course, yeah.
Thought at various moments about starting an accelerator or some way to help founders. There's a lot of accelerators, though. I'm not sure that's the right mechanism. What do you think? How can we help founders get to the next level?
That's the idea of this show. Like, we talk about founders that are builders, that are build companies, sold them, created things. So maybe other entrepreneurs get some hints, get some ideas like, hey, it's not just raise money from a VC, go wild, make trillions of dollars and live a happy life. Sometimes you just raise money from friends, or you have an idea that kind of works. Another company wants your product, you get a lot of money, and that's it. So it doesn't have to be the glamorous life of a startup, which definitely is not glamorous. And the interesting thing is that I think startups trying to become the new Hollywood. Like when you're an A-list Hollywood celebrity, you have to play like in a huge movie and everybody knows you and you're trying to be that celebrity. With startups, again, you're trying to be Zuckerberg or Elon Musk. Like, it's good to have these goals, but you need to understand that there are 1,000 ways to skin the cat or to fundraise, to sell your company, to make money, to be happy. So if this show could somehow display how you can be happy while building a company, not going insane or having to raise insane amount of money and then working for a VC, I think that's a success, right?
Yeah. I tend to overdo it in that direction, like push too hard on the accelerator. You've taught me you don't always have to do that. Like I can see you guys, you're not exactly bootstrapping, but you have a bootstrapping philosophy, I think, at Agent Risk, which is your current startup.
Yeah.
Like what's going on there?
Really? Super. I like how we switch, like who gets the interview from who. Like I like it. So my idea for every startup is try not to get VC money and try to have paying customers, raise a little bit of money to try the idea, and keep raising money as you are trying to scale. So the specific product that we have doesn't need insane amount of money to go viral. We want to have customers, paying customers, and using like seed funding, keep growing. It's not all startups. All startups are not like that. But sadly, the majority of the startups that try to go the VC way very fast. Like I've met companies that were doing seed and then they're trying to raise like Series A, like, I don't know, 6-7 million, without even having reached the moment when they need the money. Like if somehow right now we need the money, we haven't found a solution how to scale this, we would raise immediately. But it's strange. And to tell you the truth, we have a couple of more people later in the show that explain how they built huge companies and made huge exits without raising a VC round, because they decided to build a product, get customers, raise money to go to the next level. The next level might be $100 million acquisition. It's okay for them. But always depends on the kind of startup.
Some great lessons there. Like, we could all learn from that. And I love the idea that there's like a diversity of startups.
Of course, yeah.
And I think Silicon Valley preaches the fast growth mentality. That makes sense. They're mostly VC funded, and VCs, if they don't get fast growth, they get very nervous, rightly so.
Yeah, like for me as an entrepreneur, all that I want is the company to succeed. So everybody's happy, the employees are happy, the investors are happy. But whenever a VC comes into play, at least from my point of view, they care about growth and some metrics that for me, they don't make sense. Whenever I hear about a startup, you know what? Now we went from 5 people to 50 people in a year. So you're just inefficient. If you tell me that you went from 100 customers to 1,000 customers, awesome. But you're telling me that you need more people without any other metrics, so you suck. You got the money from the VC to just grow faster. Like, what is this? So that's what I'm saying. Raise money. VCs are great to throw money and give you network and everything, but raise it for a purpose. Like my purpose to get this money, get more salespeople, I don't know, or build a new product. I have no idea. But don't raise money just for the branding or for whatever reason. Raise to provide value, to give value to your customers and then to the investors.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, it's so difficult, but so interesting. That's what I like with startups. Like the moment you're like, I figured out how this is done. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. The moment you solve the first startup, deep in your mind, you're like, okay, I've solved it. I know how to do it again. But it was totally different. Yeah. The moment you solve the second startup, you're like, now I know how to do it. And it's again different. Even fundraising, it's totally different because it's different space, different pitch, different team, whatever. What do you think?
That's all true. And I'll also add the timing is important. What I mean is like the world of startups, particularly technology startups, is changing so quickly. You know, the fundraising approach today is so different than it was 5 years ago. There used to be 5 years ago, you could raise seed round without that much traction, right? And companies were doing that. Today, it's pretty much impossible unless you're like a known quantity up in the valley. So traction is kind of the mantra, right? What's it going to be in 2 years? I mean, people are talking about the death of the VC, because of crowdfunding and the Jobs Act. What do you think we're going to see in 5 years that's going to be different?
Definitely, VCs are going to change the way they fund companies. I don't think that they will die, but especially in Los Angeles, we've seen a lot of angels changing the way they invest. They create the micro vehicles. We've seen a lot of micro VCs. So I think it's getting better. It's getting better. It had to get worse to get better. Yeah. But yeah, it's getting there.
It is getting better. I remember, around 2001, there was a site where you could talk about and rate VCs. Do you remember this site?
No.
It was, I can't remember the name. We'll look it up later. But it was the first time I ever saw publicly or privately what people thought of VCs. And you would read these reviews of VCs who were rude in meetings, who would not show up for meetings, who would pass on your investment without even telling you why, or just ghost you. And there was a feeling at the time that VCs were the enemy, right? But today, I think as a result of the internet, really, and sort of information efficiency, VCs pay founders a lot more respect and founders a lot more leverage. So, that's just another interesting sort of dynamic shift in the dynamic that I've seen in my career. So, yeah, it's always changing. You're right. Just to go back to your original point, it's going to be different in 3 years, and I look forward to that. That's one of the things that makes it fun.
Yeah. What do you think about companies that they are in Los Angeles, Austin, New York, whatever, and they're like, I want to raise money from Silicon Valley, and they go there for a week without ever being in Silicon Valley before, and they're like, we're going to have meetings with 10 VCs, because usually VCs take most of the meetings, like that's their job, to have meetings with entrepreneurs. But realistically, I've never seen a startup that is not from the Silicon Valley going there for like a weekend and raising money. Obviously, if they already have raised, 50 million from New York or somewhere else, they're in different stage. But I've never met a company like going there to Silicon Valley, like, hey, where have you been? Like, we were expecting you to put our money. Yeah. And having said that, it's even worse with European startups. Like, I get a lot of emails because European, Greek, like, hey, we are going to be for 2 weeks in Silicon Valley. Maybe you can introduce us to some VCs. They might be interested to invest. I'm like, you don't even have a company in the US. It's impossible to invest. No US VC will invest outside of this small ecosystem. So what do you think?
I think it's a pity that there's not more education about how to raise money in general, and particularly from VCs. I think the VC industry bears a lot of that responsibility, and I think it took us both a while to figure it out. You have to go and buy a book on Amazon to figure it out. It's a mysterious black box, right? That you have to be part of this special club to really understand. So I have sympathy for these companies, right? Because the process is not transparent.
Of course. Maybe an accelerator could solve that. You see how I turn it? Yeah, maybe an accelerator. But there are some accelerators. Like, of course, there are in Silicon Valley, and there are also here. What do you think about the accelerators? What they should be doing? Are they doing everything that they could?
So my personal view of accelerators is I'm not going to get a lot of value out of them because I'm sufficiently knowledgeable.
And you have your network. You've done it.
Yeah. But if I were just starting out, I think I would benefit from an accelerator. I think you have to be ready to negotiate the terms. I mean, if they want X% of your company, push back. Always negotiate. Find out who the mentors are. Find out what the demo day is like. What are the introductions like? Like, buyer beware. They're just, it's funny. I think accelerators have this sort of halo in the ecosystem that they're just out there to do good and help founders. No, guys, accelerators are businesses too.
Of course, yeah.
So you need to treat them like you would any vendor, right? You negotiate with your hosting provider, you shop around for the best one. Do the same with an accelerator.
Yeah, so I have a question that is different from all the other questions, everything that we discussed right now. If you could choose any startup, any company you can imagine to be your company, like you had the original idea and you did it, which company would that be?
Oh, fun. The one that popped into mind is a company that failed. So I had this idea, and then this company came out and they did it, and I just thought it was such a great idea. Sad to see they failed. It was a company that was acted as a car rental at various airports, but instead of owning a fleet of cars, the way it worked is you would park your car at their lot, and then they would rent it out during your trip. And they were at LAX for a few years and some other airports. I used them obsessively. And I actually made money renting out my car. They had terrible service. I think maybe that's why they failed, because this idea to me seemed like destined for success. I was actually very upset when they did it because I was like, I wanted to do that. So to answer your question, starting that company and doing it right, and destroying Hertz and Avis and Alamo in the process would be my answer to that question.
Interesting. Have you ever like had an idea like, I'm going to build this, and you couldn't because you couldn't find the correct team, the right team? Has ever this happened to you? Like, the idea is solid, I know that there is traction, but the team is not there.
No, I always seem to have good luck attracting good people.
How's your selection? Maybe I don't think it's luck. I think it's the selection, how you select your co-founder. It's the most important thing is in a startup is the co-founder.
Yeah.
So how do you select that person?
Dating to start with. I don't think you can just select based on a conversation. You have to figure out a way to try out the relationship. So start by building something together, and that might be the company you both actually wind up building together. It might be something a little more of a side project. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that at least for me, what it works is to know my co-founder for a long time, and I really want my co-founder to be as chill as I am. I want him to have a different life outside of tech, to have other hobbies. Like, I don't really play well with people that are as obsessed as I am with technology. So I want the yin and yang in the startup, somebody that's business specific or tech specific, so I can get the other role. Like, somehow I play the yang in the other, or the yin in the other, in the other part, and it works out. Whenever I tried with two founders that are highly technical or focusing both on business, it didn't work. At least for me, it didn't work.
Yeah, so complementary skill sets are key. And I think we both agree that, like, there has to be a shared value system and work ethic. Yeah.
They have to be fun. I don't know. I cannot do startups with somebody that he or she is not fun. Like, that you go out and you do silly stuff. Maybe I'm 100% immature and I shouldn't base my business decisions on that, but that's how I work. Like, I cannot do business with somebody that, is not a fun person.
Sure. I mean, I think that's a big reason we do startups, is to create our own reality, our own environment. And if it's important to have fun, then you're going to want to create that environment, and that's what you're doing. Alex, you're a co-founder, he's a fun guy. So I think
yeah. He's also obsessed with food and everything. So yeah.
I think you guys are a great team.
Great cook. Yeah.
So what's the answer from you to this question? What's the next startup?
Whenever what the startup I'm going to do after
Agent Risk. Yeah.
I don't know, because the reason I started doing a wealth management company is because I wanted somebody to manage my wealth with algorithms.
Yeah.
So I want to keep doing this for as long as I can, because this is the way that we help entrepreneurs, that they make money to manage their wealth. If we get acquired, then I have to build another startup to manage wealth. Like, it doesn't work for me. It's like, this is a mission. Like, we're trying to help people manage their wealth more efficiently. You cannot sell the mission. Maybe you merge with somebody bigger and helps you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think at the next 5 years we're willing to, to see the next steps. Like, we're enjoying what we're doing. It's super fun. Customers are happy. The market's skyrocketing. So yeah.
So that's a really great distinction between having a product and having a mission, right?
Oh yeah.
You can do something great with either approach, but mission takes way longer.
That's right. Yeah, and it's different sometimes to quantify in in numbers what the mission is. So when you talk to investors that are not passionate about the mission, you cannot sell them the dream. Like, and you've seen that with Beautify, right? Like, some investors, they get it. They're like, yes, you're trying to make the world beautiful. You do this, you make money. Awesome. The other people that are like, how can you get 100x in a year? If I give you 5 million, how are you going to? It's different. It's a different way to approach investing. I don't know.
Well, one way to answer that question in a mission-driven way would be, in our case, to say, and it was actually one of our taglines is until there are no more ugly walls, or until every wall is beautiful, right? So that's 100% of. We think there are about 3 million prime mural ready walls in the country. So we have about 2.999 million to go. And the same for wealth management. I think you have a country where people are largely financially illiterate, and they're doing great harm to their retirement, right?
Of course, yeah.
So you have 270 million adults in this country.
Yeah.
So that's
huge market.
Yeah. And a long way to go.
Of course. You haven't told me about Beautify, like how you guys make money and how the technology makes things more beautiful and more efficient.
Yeah, so it's a marketplace platform, similar to Lyft or eBay or Airbnb. It's a 3-sided marketplace. 3 sides are artists. They create a portfolio, a presence on the site. We have landlords or property owners who are listing their walls. And then we have sponsors. These are brands or agencies that are seeking to sponsor walls. Typically they do that because they can then take credit for beautifying communities. We also layer augmented reality experiences on top of the murals to help brands get their message out. So you have this 3-way marketplace, and the artists are bidding on walls, and the landlords are reviewing these proposals. And sometimes the landlords are paying for the murals directly. Property owners get a lot of benefits from murals. They get more foot traffic. They can attract tenants. Crime and vandalism are reduced. So there's some amazing statistics, John, about graffiti when you put up a mural. It's way more effective than fences or guard dogs or cameras. Graffiti reduction is like 95% with art.
Got it.
So the property owners, they get a lot of benefit from murals, and artists are eager to get their work out in the public. And then you have, and sometimes those transactions happen between the two parties. Sometimes a brand will come in and they'll fund the mural. In some cases, they'll actually pay a rental fee to the landlord. So then you have this sort of flip where the landlord isn't just paying for a mural. They're not just getting a free mural, but they're actually making money because the brand is paying for the wall rental.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
our long-term goal is to take these millions of unmonetized walls and enable landlords to make a little bit of money on all of them by acting as a broker for that. So that's kind of how it works today at a high level.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay, thank you, Paul. This has been awesome, great. As always, it's been a fantastic, epic pleasure to chat here with you. Thank you, everybody. We are here in Santa Monica. Thank you, Clock Tower VC, for giving us the space. This is amazing. The view is amazing. Like, they have this 12-floor like view in the Clock Tower. It's like amazing view by the ocean. So it couldn't be a better place to have a podcast with an epic guest. Thank you, guys. Yeah, see you soon.